Hey, Em.
Hey, Rick.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. Except, I feel like everyone's giving me a lot of shit lately because I tend to lean towards tough love approaches with things. And everyone's on this gentle parenting kick lately. And so I've been getting a lot of flack for my tough love. But I genuinely think that it's necessary. So...
Yeah, I agree with you. I know that I especially tend to lean more towards the gentle parenting side of things, but I think there's a time and place for gentle parenting and for tough love. You gotta have both.
I agree. So today is a time and place for tough love. Welcome back, all you sibling people. Bring it on. This is Sister Show Me How, a podcast, a place where we help you talk through all the real rough shit. I'm Rude Rick, host of Sister Show Me How and your how-to sister.
And I'm Extreme M, co-host of Sister Show Me How and your other how-to sister.
You know, Em, the other day I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw this reel, I guess that's what they call them, right? Mm-hmm. I saw this reel by this account. It was called at Thoughts Fired.
Okay.
So you can look up their account if you want to. It seemed like a bunch of like motivational life stuff. And
nice.
The one that I saw specifically talked about, quote unquote, 4 realities you must come to terms with, I think is the verbiage that they used.
Okay.
And to shorten it, the first one was anger is the part of you that loves you the most. So essentially it stands up for you and that's why you're getting pissed about things. 2, everything is a learning experience. Perspective is how you grow. So it was essentially saying to like take all of your experiences and try to find the lesson in them, whether that experience was good or bad or like super shitty or like really great, to find the lesson in them. And the perspective is how you grow things, like learning the lessons. Mm-hmm. The third one was that time means nothing and character means everything. Their main point there was that a person can make you feel something in 2 months that a person in 2 years never could.
Right.
Or that a person who was 14 could seem way more mature than a person who was 24. Mm-hmm. And the last one was to accept people as they are, but place them where they belong. So it's essentially like accept people's characters regardless of what they show you, but according to what they show you, place those people at the distance in which they belong with your perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
They used this cute quote. It was, "You are the CEO of your life. Hire and fire accordingly."
Ooh, I like that.
I know. I liked it a lot.
That's a great mantra.
Yeah. And so the overall message I think that they were trying to make with those points is perspective. Mm-hmm. Like, get your head on the right spot, get a grip, and like take reality as it is.
Right.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I'm very much like the confrontational bitch.
Well, and I think it's all about, changing your mindset. Mm-hmm. Like, changing your perspective is changing your mindset. So, you can have this lived experience that you've always thought about as one way, and then someday you look at it from a different perspective and it can change the entire way you think of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that is often the case. As they say, hindsight is 20/20.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So if you take the time to like analyze things like that, you will eventually find clarity.
Yes.
So today, if it's not obvious enough, we're talking about perspective. What is it? How does it affect us? And how do we shift into a more beneficial state with perspective? Let's talk about it.
All right, Rick, what's the definition of perspective?
Okay, so I used Webster's this time. The definition of perspective, it's a noun. It is the aspect in which a subject or its parts are mentally viewed.
Okay.
A view of things in their true relationship or relative importance.
Okay.
So I feel like the Webster's dictionary focuses more on like a subject matter, you know, like a canvas or like a building or something like that. And I wanted to bring it more into like an internal way. So I looked up a couple of psychologists' definitions of perspective, because I feel like people who are in the professional field of the brain space would have a better definition of this. So I found this article through the company of Harley Therapy Limited. They have a blog online, their mental health blog, and they define perspective as the way we view and interpret the world around us, which shapes our thoughts, emotions, and actions, and can greatly impact our overall well-being. So I felt like that was a more like on par of what we're talking about definition, rather than like to view an object objectively with the brain. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
We're not doing perspective drawings.
No. No, we're not. So even if you think that your thoughts on life and people are facts, they really aren't. What they are is a set of beliefs that you've chosen to live through. It's your perspective. And a great example that this article said was to liken it to standing and looking at a statue. One person standing here will view it one way. One person standing here will view it another. Like the light source is different. What you're seeing of the object is completely different. So you're both getting two different truths. They're both real. They're both valid. They both exist, but they're separate and not equal always. So, of course, if you were standing on one side, you would have an idea of what it looked like, and if you were standing on the other, you would have a different idea of what it looked like. So your perspective might feel permanent in that sense, but if you were to change positions, your perspective might shift. So what we're doing here is we're asking you to change positions. If you are the statue, your identity is the statue. We're looking at it from one way. We've been doing that our whole lives. We're asking you to step to another side, view a different light source, and check out the other side of that statue.
Yeah. At the very least, be open to it and check it out. Even if you still decide that your perspective that you originally had was the most valid and the most true to you, that's fine, as long as you're checking out the other perspectives.
Right, exactly. The experimentation is not going to lessen what you feel like your identity already is. If anything, it's only going to enhance it, because if you experiment and you realize, oh, this isn't for me, then guess what? You've just reinforced your identity.
Yeah.
But if you experiment and you realize, oh, hey, I kind of like this, well, then guess what? You've expanded upon your identity. There are no losses in either situation. So you might feel like your perspective is permanent, but it isn't. Whether you realize it or not, your perspective is a choice that you're making, and that choice can always be changed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how does perspective affect our person? It affects us in three separate ways: mentally, physically, and emotionally. Mentally, your perspective in psychological thinking, of course, is the way that you've chosen to see the world. So it includes how you see yourself and others around you, because obviously we project those onto other people. The way you choose to see things directly affects every single choice that you make. So your perspective ultimately determines how your life is going to turn out. The way that you talk to yourself is the way that your environment looks.
Yeah.
There is a direct correlation between the two of them.
Yeah. It's sort of like that quote of like, you accept the love you think you deserve. You basically, like, if we're taking on that quote, you need to change your perspective of what you deserve.
Right.
And so it's the same thoughts of like your life. When you've only been around chaos and turmoil, if your perspective is only that and that's all you can see, naturally you end up in more chaos and turmoil. You don't end up getting out of that. So you just need to change your perspective in order to create a different life.
Absolutely. Yeah. As within, so without.
Yes.
They are connected. Emotionally, your perspective determines your thoughts, and your thoughts create a chain reaction, which leads to taking actions. And then actions make you feel either good or bad about yourself. In cognitive behavioral therapy, this is called a behavior loop or a maintaining process because it feeds into itself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like a vicious cycle, potentially.
No, exactly. Yeah. It can be. So a thought creates a feelings, and then bodily sensations are made from those feelings, and that causes muscle tension.
Right.
So it's like, your brain is connected to your body. Shocker.
Weird.
Wild.
Who knew?
Wish they would have taught us that in school. So all of these combine to dictate your behavior, which then triggers another thought, and then the cycle continues again. Of course, if that original thought is negative, you'll tend to choose behaviors that reinforce those negative thoughts. Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't do this thing, I'm such a horrible person. And then you continue to I'm gonna do it later, but then you don't do it, and then you set up, because I didn't do it, I'm this horrible person. And you continue to set yourself up for these things because every single one of our bodies is an addict. We are lazy. Our body wants to use the least amount of energy possible. And to do so, it reuses reinforced, pre-made cognitive patterns. It wants to do the fastest, easiest, quickest route possible every single time. And so if we have quick, fast, efficient routes that are negative and are building us down, our brain is going to keep using those until it is just as easy to use the more positive routes. That's why perspective is everything, because it colors every single one of those paths for us. And that path is not only just a thought and not only just an emotion. It's a chemical left in our body. It's a trace left in our muscles. It is a behavior that we established. It is a habit that reinforces our lifestyle. It is a whole lifestyle we end up choosing. So it's a little snowball effect, and it just rolls down and gets bigger and bigger and bigger and more complex.
Right. So it reminds me of this post that I saw on Instagram, actually.
Instagram's doing the work for us today.
I might have already put it as a story on our Instagram account. So I'll go back and look at that. I know for sure that I saved it. But it talked about how when you try and make your life easier, it ends up making your life harder. So you feel lazy, so you don't want to exercise, and that causes health issues down the line.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, you feel lazy, so you don't want to brush your teeth, so then you get a bunch of cavities, and you have to go deal with those at the dentist.
You get sick more if you don't take care of your teeth. That is the first step to your immune system, guys.
Yeah, there's literally links to people who take care of their teeth well and have less risk of heart disease and stuff. Yeah. It's all connected. Everything is connected. So
moral of the story.
Yeah. So, but it makes sense because, if you've gotten into this easy lifestyle, then that snowballs and that's all you're used to. And it's so much harder to dig yourself out of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can change your perspective and get excited about that sort of stuff or something, then it can make it so much easier.
Exactly.
You have to make your life harder in order to make it easier,
Okay, so then physically, since we've already kind of gone down that rabbit hole, your perspective colors your thoughts and your moods. Obviously, we just talked about that, which converts into behavior.
Right.
Behavior turns into habits, turns into lifestyles. So that's how it converts into physical.
Yeah.
So it seems like a lot of this work is mental. And yeah, that's the point we're trying to make here, is that if your life sucks, the best way to fix it is to start here. Because this fixes everything. It shifts everything.
Yeah.
Everything. This is where our whole reality lives.
Mm-hmm.
If we fix this, we fix our reality. We change our reality. When people talk about the Matrix, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah. You're already in the Matrix. This is your Matrix.
Yeah, exactly. And you choose to follow, quote unquote, the Matrix if you do what everyone else is doing. And you just follow into that shit, and you're just herded into the pen with the rest of the cattle.
Yeah.
But if you think for yourself and color your own reality, ta-da! Brand new world! That's what we're trying to do.
A whole new world. I don't know the rest of the words.
So, but the only true way to know if a perspective is yours and if it truly fits you is to question it, is to play with it, is to manipulate it, is to mold it and make sure that that's your foundation. That's what you really want. That's the choice you are making. Because again, perspective is always a choice. And the best way I feel like to start that is with bias management.
Okay.
One is that whole like judging a book by its cover thing. You know what I mean? Like, we can't assume that anyone who's young is dumb. We can't assume that anyone who's old is incapable. We can't assume that just because I met this person that they can't make me feel what I was lacking in this other relationship that I had for this long. I feel like the way that I utilize this in my own personal life, in my own brain, like the phrase that I use for myself, especially when it comes to age, because I feel like that's the biggest one. I am the biggest one to be like, oh, you're a baby, you don't know shit, right? And that's fucked up because I'm only like 28 years old, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm not fucking old enough to be saying anyone's a baby.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is, well, how did you feel when you were that age? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a boss bitch when I was fucking 19. I was on my own working like 4 jobs and going to college full time. So I was like, I got my shit together, you know? So like,
Right.
would I have appreciated being patronized at 19 because of my age? Like, fuck no. I'd have been like, dude, you have no idea what I've been through.
Yeah. Well, and especially, yeah, it's easy to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, you know, when I was 19, I really hadn't been through anything yet. But
That's fair.
you never know until, yeah, you get to know someone,
Right.
if they have. So, and also, you don't have to have gone through stuff to still be mature and to still be smart and responsible.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you just can't assume things about people.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
I am noticing too that my perspective is shifting, lifting and shifting.
We love it.
Because one, I'm utilizing gratitude a lot more.
Yeah.
Like, I notice myself saying, oh, this is nice.
Dude, me too.
Isn't that great?
Good for
Yes!
us. Look at us healing.
Gross. Like this plant. We're growing too. But yeah, I notice myself like physically thinking, I am glad that I have this right now. Like, I am so thankful for this. Or like, man, this is really nice. Or like, I do this funny little thing, snapshot moments.
Yeah.
I'm just like, snapshot.
Cute.
And I just like go back to that later because those are just like heartwarming moments for me. And I've noticed that I'm having more of those because I'm paying attention to them more.
Yeah.
Like the other day I was having a day, right? Like I woke up late, I guess, and then I was feeling down on myself because I wasn't being productive enough. And then I was like, well, you know, if I'm going to try to be productive, then I'm going to just like pay my bills, right? So I went to go pay my bills. But fun little story, my mailbox it got broken into. And so the apartment complex and the postal service have been fighting about who's going to accept our mail now.
Yikes.
And so the apartment complex was like, well, we're not taking it. And the post office was just sending it all back. So because they did that, some of my bills thought that I no longer lived there anymore. So they closed my accounts or like put them on a restriction. So I could not access them.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I can't pay my bills, right? And so I'm having to call these companies and be like, listen, I still live here. The apartment complex fucked me over. Please open my account. I need to pay that bill.
Right.
I would like to keep my car, please.
Yeah.
So I had to do that. And then I thought, you know, this is a brilliant time. I'm going to pay my taxes. I don't know why I went from one frustrating task to the next. Okay. I set myself up for this. But then I went to taxes and I was frustrated by that because this one form that I need, again, I had to call them and tell them, hey, I still live here. I need this form. Then their system shut down.
Oh no.
So I couldn't do anything anyways, even if I wanted to, regardless of how long I stayed on the phone.
Yeah.
I stayed on the phone with one of these companies for 16 minutes and 42 seconds. Just to fix the problem myself.
Jesus.
And then to have their system crash. So it was just like annoying after annoying after annoying. And then I was late to work. And then there was some annoying news with my partner's family, I think. Like, I can't even remember now. But the point is, I was walking down my stairs to go to work. And I was thinking, you know what? If this is the most of my problems, if this is the most annoying day that I am having in the past however many days, I am okay with that. Genuinely, I was begging for boring days. Like, even just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Begging for it. And now here I am bitching because my days are boring.
Yeah.
So it's like, perspective is everything. And I genuinely am happy in my life. And if you had asked me 6 years ago what I would have wanted, it would have been this. Mm-hmm. So I have to not let these stupid little minute bullshit things color my entire day and life and week and existence.
Right.
So, but it was nice for me to walk down the stairs and recognize, like, hey, dipshit,
this is not that bad.
This is not that bad. If this is the most of your problems, you ain't got no worries.
Right.
So, and it was nice for me to recognize, one, that I am living the life that I want and that this is the least of my worries, but two, that I am growing, because me from 4 years ago would not have even had that thought. Mm-hmm. You're just been like, why am I even fucking going to work? Like, this day is just fucked already. Like, why do I even need to be doing this? I just hate my whole life. Taxes are stupid. Like, bills are stupid. Adulting is hard. Why am I even doing this? I should just kill myself.
Damn, that's extreme.
Well, I used to be very extreme. So, but now I'm just like, you know what? It's fine. It's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's great.
It's nice. I will tell you that. It is very nice. It's helped me to heal from my grief, because I feel like I've been able to step out of the situation that's causing me grief. Like, lately it's been losing a lot of friends. But before that, it was losing literal family members, and not just like cutting off connection with them, but, you know, actually they're gone. They're not here anymore. I cannot fix anything. I can't break anything anymore. I can't laugh. I can't cry. I can't do anything with that person anymore. And just having the idea that, like, especially with those who pass, one, what did their life represent? What impact did it have on the people who are still left? What kind of ripple effects are still happening because that person was here? And having appreciation for the ripple effects that are still happening.
Right.
Because they never stop. Mm-mm. Because we keep having babies, and we keep making more people, and we keep interacting with people, and we keep having connections with people. So the ripple effects, it just never stops. It just grows wider. And to appreciate that is to then recognize that life, even though its energy is not still captured in a physical essence on this planet, it is still a captivating energy, and it is still creating love and abundance and peace and joy within the energy that is still here.
Right.
And then to think about people that, like, I don't talk with anymore, that, like, we fought and we have lost relationships. I feel like the term projected behavior taught me a lot about that kind of stuff, because I recognize that not everyone's actions towards me are against me. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Like, sometimes
not necessarily because of you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, sometimes people do things, not sometimes, people do things because of them.
Right.
Not because of you. Mm-hmm. Their reactions to you is because of them. 100%. And so it's like, I feel like before I was taking on a lot of the responsibility of other people's actions. Like, what could I have done differently? How did I fuck up? How can I fix things in the future? And while those are really great ways to grow and shift your perspective, sometimes you have to recognize that it's not my responsibility to make sure that other people are acting a certain way, right, or that other people are getting me or understanding me. Right. It's my responsibility to make sure that I'm communicating my emotions appropriately and that I'm reacting to other people in a way that I deem appropriate.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And perspective really helped me, like, let go of some of that shit. Because I was like, yo, that's not my circus, not my monkeys, man. Like,
absolutely.
I didn't train those elephants. If they fall off the ball, it is not my fault.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point, and it brings me to one of mine.
Okay.
Because one thing that's helped me is I'm kind of an anxious attachment person. For some reason, I have abandonment issues, and I'm not quite sure why, but that's another issue to deal with. But, you know, if you are an anxiously attached person like I am, then you often have those feelings of like, oh my God, is this person mad at me? Am I annoying them?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And you go down that rabbit hole and freak yourself out. And one thing, I can't remember where I heard this or I read this, but it's really helped me a lot. You are only responsible for people's emotions that they have told you. So if somebody is acting upset or you feel like the vibes are off or their tone has shifted, I am not going to confront that until they talk to me. I'm just, in a sense, going to ignore it. Obviously, it kind of is situational. You have to kind of figure out some of that stuff and
like pick your battles.
Deem what's appropriate or not. Obviously, if somebody's just being downright disrespectful, that's different.
Yeah, you call that shit out.
Yeah.
We don't handle no disrespect around here.
But yeah, like there are times where I'm like, man, I really feel like this person is upset with me, upset about something, and I've just gotten to the point where I'm like, nope.
Yep.
If they don't want to talk to me about it, I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Yeah. And I totally understand, like, from an ex-people pleaser point of view, I totally understand that too, because it becomes a point where we're like, we don't really want to be confrontational, right? But we do want to be problem solvers. We want to come to this and have solutions, right? We want to fix things.
Yeah.
But at the same point, it's like, if they're mad enough about that situation, they need to fucking say something.
Absolutely.
We're all wearing grown-up panties now. We need to start acting like it.
Yeah. And honestly, if they are not going to talk to you about it, in my mind, I'm like, then it's not important.
Yeah, it's not important. It's a you problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you can kind of internalize that, that helps a lot. And it also goes into like text messaging. Yeah. Because tone is so hard to convey. Emails, text message, anything like that. Again, the anxious attachment style comes out. And I constantly am thinking, oh my gosh, they're annoyed, they're mad, they use less emojis, oh my God. Like,
yeah.
Think, especially if you know the person well, think about them, think about their personality, think about how you think they would actually say this to you if you were face to face. And most of the time it will calm you down and be like, they did not mean it the way that I'm reading it.
Right.
So
yeah, I've noticed I've noticed the trend of like, oh no, there's a period, she's mad at me. And me, I am like a big grammar like stickler. So I'm like, I want the period, I want the apostrophes, I want everything to like be punctual. So I'm like, I don't want people to think that I'm mad at them just because I used a period. So I over emoji.
Same.
But I have a lot of people in my life that are like, you know, 40, 50, 60 years old, and they don't really use emojis that much. Like when my ma texts me and she'll just like, yeah, with like a period, I'm like, oh, she's pissed. But I'm like, no, it's just my ma. Like she's just, that's her email. You know what I mean? Like she still thinks of it as like an email. She'll say, for I say, blah, blah, and I'm like, ma, you sound so proper. Like you don't talk like that in real life. Why are you texting me like that?
See, and it's funny because as like we're the generation who kind of grew up with text, and so then moving into like a corporate world and you're sending emails, I have to sit there and be like, this makes me really uncomfortable, but it's like not professional to put like 5 exclamation points and you can't really use emojis, so like yeah, it's kind of hard.
Question mark, exclamation point, question mark. Not professional.
Yeah. So it's helped a lot to kind of shift my perspective in that way and just look at things differently and take a step out of my weird little brain.
Yeah. Yeah. Recognize your responsibility.
Yeah.
Other people's emotions are not it.
Yeah. Yeah. So another thing perspective has helped me, I don't want to say heal from my grief, because I don't think in some ways you truly heal from it, but you learn to handle it.
Yeah. It's like baggage you learn to take the weight of.
Yeah. 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 You flex your muscles until you're strong enough to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And this can make me cry, just to warn you guys, because it makes me cry every time. But the idea that grief is just your love that continues on.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of this quote from this book that I have not finished reading because it's very painful. But I would like to, because it's a really beautiful book. It's Peaches and Honey, These Immortal Truths by R. Retta. I'm not quite sure how you say it, so I'm probably butchering that. But it's these two people talking to each other, and both of them are immortal. And the one girl, she adopted this kid who was abandoned. And obviously she's immortal, he's not. Mm-hmm. So he died from old age, and it was really, really hard for her. And so the one guy was talking and asking her, was he worth it? Your son, was knowing him worth the pain of saying goodbye? And she says, always. And so I think about that with my grief, and I'm like, I will always take the pain if I got to have those people and know them.
Sorry, I'm a sympathetic crier.
Totally get that. So,
yeah,
it's still hard, clearly, but that perspective shift is really helpful.
Yeah, well, get my shit together. Honestly, even in shifting your perspective, there is a grieving process in
Absolutely.
learning to the thing that is the most difficult about a healing journey is that in learning to love yourself, you recognize all the ways that you've let yourself down. And you start to recognize all of the versions of you that deserved more than what you were providing. Mm-hmm. And as beautiful as it is to gain perspective and to broaden your horizons and to shift and change your reality, it is also imperative that you give yourself the appropriate time to grieve your previous actions, your previous identity, your previous life, and to allow yourself to appreciate those stages of life. Mm-hmm. And the people who were there and helped you, even if they were only there for a small period, even if they're kind of still there wandering around, checking in on your life, or if they're gone, you know what I mean? And checking in a metaphysical sense. Like, it's just, mm-hmm. Every aspect of ourselves is worthy. And even after it's gone, it has validity. Mm-hmm.
Trying really hard not to cry anymore. Unfortunately, part of healing is always going to be painful. But pain is temporary.
I need a tissue. Yeah. We said that this was going to be some real rough shit, right? That's what this podcast is all about. So there it was. Grief is hard and very necessary for this. And so obviously the most mainstream way to seek help with adjusting your viewpoint and reestablishing your perspective in a more positive light is to seek professional help, right? To go to see a therapist or a counselor or a psychologist, or self-help books for those of us who can't really afford a psychologist, because man, they're kind of expensive. Even those self-help books get kind of pricey, but the library is always there. That's for that reason alone. Yeah. However, if you're, don't have the time for that, or still even too broke to go to the library, which happens, gas money is expensive, We have a couple of different ways that we came up with to utilize perspective shifts as kind of a fun game to play with yourself. So we've got a couple of examples for you.
Yeah.
You go first. Tell us some of your tricks. Let's see what you got.
I think first and most obvious is allow yourself the time to feel the pain. And wallow.
That's not fun.
But there's big but.
Oh, I hit my hand on my ass. Oh, God. Okay, moving on, but.
Allow yourself the time to wallow and then make a plan to fix it.
Yeah.
So, I'll use some examples that have happened to me recently. Your water heater froze. Cry for a day because it really fucking sucks. Bitch about how unfair it is. And then figure that shit out. What are you going to do? How are you going to fix it? Are you going to call a plumber? Are you going to wait until it warms up and see if it'll resolve itself? Yeah. Make the plan.
Yeah. That's kind of like one of those yes and things.
Yeah.
Yes, this sucks dick. Yes, I feel like a self-pity bitch. Yeah. And I'm going to ... fill in the blanks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's a good one.
It's okay to take the time, as long as then you have to, sometimes you have to set yourself kind of an actual time limit.
Yeah. And
be like, okay, I'm going to bitch and moan about this for 2 hours, and then I have to go fix it. Or figure out how to fix it. And sometimes you can allow yourself more time. Sometimes it has to be less time. But yeah, allow yourself the time to get that out.
Sometimes you need the full 7-day grieving period.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it's just that shitty. Another one is, I know we've kind of talked about this before, and I'll say it again. Trick your stupid little mush brain. Use sarcasm. Walk around. I love my job. I love my life. It does not know the difference. It doesn't know that you're being sarcastic.
Okay, so I see the point in this one. But since we're talking about perspective, I also want to note that if you're using sarcasm like this, and we're going to use your example of like, oh, I love my job, and we're using it in times when we don't really love our job, right? I want you to then actually think about ways in which you do love your job, because our goal here is not to slap a Band-Aid over it and just give ourselves these like template mantras to just fix the problem. Like, this is not some like magic pill that we're going to swallow and it's going to, we have to actually believe these things. We have to actually be honest with ourselves and like pull this shit from our gut.
And work on it. So it really is
with the chest.
It starts out as sarcasm and you work through gratitude. And then again, like we said at the beginning, sometimes when you switch your perspective, you realize that your original viewpoint was correct for you. So maybe you're like, I love my job. And you think about the good things, and then you think about the negative things, and you're like, the negative things way outweigh it.
Yeah.
That is fine.
Then you say, wait, actually, I don't love my job.
Yeah, and I need to get a new one.
Yeah.
So that's okay. Another thing that I like is to daydream about reality.
That's a good one.
It sounds kind of backwards, but it's basically just like romanticizing the mundane things about your life. Like, imagine that you were the main character of some sort of like a sitcom or like romantic comedy or whatever it is. Whatever your preference of media is, think about yourself as the main character, romanticize the mundane shit in your life, and it makes you shift your perspective. And so like you soon find yourself where you're really doing things and you're like, I really like this. This is really great.
Yeah, and getting really excited about things that are boring.
Yeah, like I have not been a healthy eater, basically ever. I have
At least she's honest.
Yeah. I mean, okay, I feel like my parents fed us pretty, like, healthy.
Right.
But, like, me, myself, I like sweet shit. I like junk food. I'm not good at limiting myself. But lately, I've just gotten in this mindset of, like, I've always been an active person until the last, like, 4 years. And I liked it. I've always liked doing that sort of stuff. And I was like, you know what? I like being active. I like to be an exercise person. I'm going to fucking do it. And somehow that just like worked for me so well. And I'm like, yeah, I literally ate a salad for dinner the other night and enjoyed it. Like I was excited about it. I didn't have to be like, you have to eat the fucking salad and be healthy. Like I was like, yeah, salad.
That's so awesome. I'm so excited.
I was like,
for
this
you.
is the most bizarre fucking thing for me, but like, we're gonna roll with that.
Isn't that though like the most fun? I feel like the most fun part of like shifting and lifting your perspective is like that moment of cognitive dissonance where you're just like,
You're like, wait.
You're aware that like you're excited about this thing, but you're also cognitively aware of like, I would not have been excited about this a year ago or weeks ago or however long ago to just be like, this is odd. But also, I'm stoked for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even like so exciting.
Cleaning. Like, I mean, I'm like a neat person in the sense that like, I don't like dirty things, but I struggle to keep things clean because I have, you know, some executive dysfunction and stuff.
She said, I'm still moving through some stuff.
Yeah. And so, like, sometimes I've been able to, like, cultivate this feeling of, like, I'm just excited to have a clean house. And so, like, it helps.
It does help. It does help. Because, especially with chores, because everyone hates chores. No one likes to do that shit. But if you can be like, okay, maybe I'm not excited to do the chore, but I'm excited to have a clean house.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what my kitchen looks like when it's spotless. I'm so excited to see what my closet looks like when it's organized.
Right. And, like, put on your favorite music and pretend, like, turn the lights down in your kitchen as you're doing the dishes and pretend like you're the tavern wench or whatever. That's bad, but, you know.
No, it could be like a hot romance novel.
Yeah, you're like the tavern wench, you're doing the dishes and
some musty werewolf is about to walk through your doors.
Yeah, exactly.
Your alpha.
Yeah. Or you have on your pop, Taylor Swift, whatever music, and you are the main character in a contemporary romance movie, rom-com, whatever.
Or you're Taylor Swift herself doing her dishes at home and actually simultaneously hosting a concert.
Right.
I haven't done that.
Me either.
Not at all.
All right, Rick, so what are some of your ways and tricks that you use to shift your perspective?
So romanticizing your life is another one of those things that I do. That is one of the fun things for me. I get very excited to go home and put on cozy socks. They're usually Hello Kitty. And then to get on my comfy couch, to get under my plush Hello Kitty blanket, and then to play Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Like that is like my favorite part of the night, and I get so excited when I get to just like go home and do that. And I get my favorite drink, I set up my favorite snack, I turn on some TV I'm not gonna watch, and I just sit there and binge. Yeah. It's great. Another way, speaking of characters, is and main characters. I like the idea of switching between characters. Like if I were to put my personality or my persona into someone like Marilyn Monroe and then look at my life from her viewpoint, what would she think? What would she do? Or, you know, Wanda from The Host. Like what would that character think of my life? What would she do? What would she think? And then it just like, I don't necessarily act on those things, but it allows me to like think of a situation, particularly one that stresses me out, in a more fun and playful way. That way I can get my brain out of the mode and back into the like, okay, we're playing, I can work with this, I can find a solution. Okay, there it is. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's just a way to step out of it.
I love that, and that's like a great way to, you know, take some of your favorite traits from those characters, and you're like, man, this person was so strong. They survived.
Yes.
Basically abandoning their species to go live with another species in a bunch of caves. I love that book. I think about it all the time. Like how, like obviously she was strong, she was determined, like she was scared, but like
she was also patient and compassionate, and this species was like hunting her species. Like there was it was so easy for her to be
saw
angry
them as barbarians, and she was able to change her perspective
and find love and a community and like true connection and like a family. And so I think that's a great way to wrap your brain around your things. So exciting. And then a way that's more tapped into reality, I think.
Screw reality. No, I'm
is
just kidding.
to think about like a time frame. Like think about you as a character from a year ago. What would your perspective on this situation have been a year ago? Is this situation going to matter in a year from now? What do you think you as a character a year from now and the growth that they have accrued would think about this situation? How would you want future you to handle this situation? That's a big one. How would I want my most authentic self to handle this situation? How would I want the main character in the book that I am reading that is my life to act? What would cause me to cheer them on?
Yeah.
And then further than that, if you want to get more into the mental stuff, would be, this is my favorite thing from literacy classes, who, what, when, where, how.
Okay.
Who, what, when, where, why, how.
Okay.
There's a lot of them.
Bunch of W's and an H.
Yeah, exactly. Why do I feel / think this way? Where did I learn this? Who else do I know thinks / feels the same way that I do? What is this feeling even? Where is it coming from? What is this feeling and thought doing to me? What would life look like if I felt the opposite? And then how are other people around me perceiving the same thing? And on that one, it's tricky because we're not here to think about like, oh, they probably think I'm such a bitch. Oh, they probably think I'm so judgmental or I'm being too much. We're here not to people please, but to think about and just play with the idea of how other people are perceiving the same thing, just to gain perspective.
Right.
Maybe that changes your decision, maybe it doesn't, but that's not the point here. The point is just to gain perspective and to collect more evidence, essentially.
Right. It's to walk around the statue a couple of times and figure out which side you like the best.
Yes,
Sometimes
absolutely.
it's the butt. Sometimes it's the face.
Usually it's the butt.
We do like the butts.
We like the butt. We're ass women.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, my sisterly advice overall would be to master your brain space, sibling people, and conquer your shitty ass perspectives and get a fucking grip. Love you, mean it. So chew that over, and when you're done being mad at us, come back and join the next chat. As for today, we love that you came to chit chat with us. Feel free to take what you need and leave what you don't, and join us in the next chat when you feel like it. Or take a break from the talk and watch us get some actual work done on our DIY channel, only on YouTube.
Don't forget to check out our other social media. We post how-to guides and bonus footage from previous episodes. And while you're there, why don't you guys tell us what's going on in your world? We want to help. After all, that's what a sister's for.
Bye, guys. Hey, Em.
Hey, Rick.
How's it going?
Good. How are you? Okay.
And so originally,
Doing so good till then.
don't hate me, but I really have to pee again. Like I am like my bladder is quaking. I'm back,
Okay.
I'm back.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I feel like another tactic that I use to like check my
Right.
perspective. What the fuck?
I just watched you do it, and I was like, nope.
We're not gonna make our 12:45 deadline.
No, we're not. Bloopers, and that's not it.
And bloopers just by themselves.
Yes. And don't forget to check out our other social media for more how-to guys and
How-to guys. There are no guys on this podcast, not yet. There are no brothers yet. Only sisters.
okay. I'm gonna get there.
We did it.